Well, welcome back from our break. I'm sorry, my network was acting up. That's why it's been challenging connecting. Can we all hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I hear you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much.
Can hear you, sir.
We can hear, sir.
I know Dr. Jetta will join us soon. How was our break? I hope the break was fantastic.
Oh. Not exactly, sir.
Sorry, man, sorry. I tried to have a break too. But I hope we can still cope, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's quickly move to the next one. How many groups, majority of the groups really, are yet to present? We had 2 presentations yesterday. One was on the course assignment. The other one was the in-course group activity. I know that yesterday group 4, group 3, 4, 6, and is it group 1 presented their in-course activity. Am I correct? I know group 3 presented yesterday on the metaphor of conflict. Group 3 presented, group 4 presented, group 6 presented. Which other group presented on the metaphors of conflict?
Group 10 also presented.
Okay, group 10. Group 10. Thank you. So we have, those are yet to present on the metaphors of conflict, group 1 and 2, group 5, group 7, 8, 9. Am I correct? Groups 1, 2, 7, 8, 9 are yet to present their metaphors of conflict. Am I correct? Hello, am I correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Are they ready, those groups? And also, are those 5 groups ready for the group activity yesterday? And also, for the group that did not present their pre-course, I hope they too will be able to do that today. But let's quickly have the groups that are yet to present for language of conflict, metaphors of conflict. Which group is ready now? Group 1, are you ready? Group 1, metaphors of conflict. Okay, group 2, are you ready? Just that first question on metaphor of conflict.
No, sir.
Group 5, are you ready? Okay, group 4. So group 4 presented yesterday.
We did yesterday.
We presented yesterday, sir.
We presented yesterday.
Yes. Group 7, 8, and 9. Is anyone ready? Group 7, 8, and 9. Okay. It appears these other groups are not ready. But I got a message from group 7 pertaining to their first activity. They wanted to present earlier on, but the device they were sharing is not currently available. So they sent it on WhatsApp. They sent it to us on WhatsApp. So let me quickly see what group 7 has for their first presentation. Let me check it and help them read it out. Okay, this is what they have. They said three conflicts in the Bible and the method used to settle them. A, David and Absalom. Absalom plotted coup against his father David to take over the throne while the father was still alive. The method David used was accommodating. He said, deal gently with my son, Absalom. 3B, our second conflict. Can we hear me?
Yes, sir.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Another conflict they identified, Jacob and Esau. Jacob, through the help of his mother, got his brother's blessing, which caused hatred between them. Method used, they said compromising. Third is where a man caught the hair of another man, but Jesus told them to put the hair back, avoidance or Ubuntu. Number 4, Apostle Peter and Paul. They disagreed on preaching to the Gentiles. They now say collaboration or cooperating, collaborating or cooperating. The last example may not really, oh, okay, Apostle Peter and Paul. Okay, it's true. They disagreed on preaching to the Gentiles, but they resolved their conflict. You know, Peter wanted, he didn't want the gospel to go to the Gentiles initially, but later they had to resolve. Peter said, okay, I've been sent to the Jews, so let Paul be sent to the Gentiles. So I mean, that's fantastic. Okay, so that's the presentation for group 7. Hopefully, if they come up, I mean, if they join us again, they may be able to do it themselves or put things on point. Okay, Engineer Tayo Olajide, please, I can see your hand. Please, sir, go ahead. You have something to share with us?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I want to present for group 9.
Okay, please go ahead, sir.
Okay. In group 9, we were able to at least put some things together. Let me just quickly, sorry. Okay. We were able to look at we had identified the 5 words that we look at when we talk about conflict. The 5 words were, sorry, let me try to read them. We look at war, lack of peace, discord, hatred, and then we look at argument. And then we look at cases of conflict in the Bible. We look at David's wife was that despised him when after bringing the Ark of the Covenant, that they had a dispute somehow. And then we look at Aaron and Miriam criticize Moses because of his wife. And then we look at Job, call his wife foolish, right in our present. And then we look at Paul and Barnabas when they were going for mission, and they eventually had to go their separate ways. And then we look at Sarah and Abraham when they had an argument, when Sarah asked Abraham that he should at least have a relationship with the the main. And then we look at 5 major characters and the way they handle conflict. Now, the first one that was with Abraham, and that was with Abraham and Sarah. The method was avoiding. Abraham had to avoid, maybe just to allow peace to reign. And I told Sarah that he should do whatever he wants to do with the mate. The second one was David and the wife. In other words, like he had to accommodate her, telling her that God chose her over our own siblings. Then the other one was Saul, and to reconcile. We look at the accommodating. Was they had to the thought when they were reconciling, and then the other one was Jacob as well, when he was relating with Joseph when he had the dream. In other words, he was avoiding some situation at that point in time, not want to be confrontational. And then the last one was Job. Job, when he was relating with his wife, he was enforcing. In other words, like he was trying to relate the relationship with God. I say, you don't know God, and why do you have to talk like this? That was the, in terms of that environment, that's about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I have very few comments. The case of David and his wife, Micah, I'm not sure whether avoidance is the most appropriate method there. I've not thought about it very well, but let me say that just like we pointed out yesterday, avoidance is not when we just decide not to have trouble. I hope that if you are convinced that it is avoidance, you're able to justify that in your submission, in the submission of the group. To justify avoidance, you have to show that, I don't know, first of all, we have to pinpoint, identify which of the characters in the conflict used the avoidance. If it is David, are we saying that it chose to be low on assertiveness there? It didn't place too much value on the relationship with the wife. Are we saying that ultimately the outcome was lose? Did David lose? Did his wife lose? I mean, these are the parameters we use to judge before we say it is avoidance and it is compromise. Just like we dealt with extensively yesterday. So I am proposing that not only to group 9, each group should look very well at each of these methods and their character to see the extent to which those characters exemplified the methods we say they did. So please, you have to justify everything. If you say, oh, they compromised, okay, you first of all mirror that against compromised method, compromised handling style. What are the variables there? Are those variables present in the case we are treating or in the character we are treating? In the character we are treating. Is it like that? So thank you very much for that. I could now see, I saw the other time that group 7 also had words that come to mind when they hear conflicts. They said fight, rivalry, confusion, arguments, disputes. So we'll be expecting other groups also to make presentations and also, presentation on both the pre-course and the in-course, the group activity of yesterday. So we have very limited time. So Our next module, module 6, we want to look at dispute settlements, conflict resolution, conflict management, and conflict transformation. Conflict transformation. Sometimes these words are used interchangeably, but in conflict management, they mean different things. Dispute settlement is slightly different from conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is not the same thing as conflict management, and conflict transformation is nothing like all of them. In a sense, conflict transformation will encompass all the other ones. In other words, when you do conflict transformation, you will many times necessarily do the other ones. We have only 25 people, around. That is significantly small number compared to the morning session. I want to quickly take attendance, please. Okay, Dr. Jepe. Okay. Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Can you help us take a screenshot of our attendees now?
Okay. I'm actually trying to connect to the laptop. I'm on my phone though. So I'm not sure I can get all the. I'll do that.
Okay. Let me spare you. Let me just take some seconds to do that. Okay. I see some people coming in as well. Can we all see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Can see your screen. But
Yes,
put it in presentation mode.
Yes, it's in presentation mode.
Okay, we can see everything.
Why there?
Okay, let me quickly admit our people. So, okay, so I was saying that conflict resolution and conflict management and conflict transformation are not exactly the same thing. So we quickly want to see the little differences among them. We need to differentiate between disputes and conflicts. Disputes are generally considered to be disagreements over issues that involve negotiable interest. Generally, they are short-term and they can easily be resolved through negotiation, mediation, and adjudication. Conflicts, on the other hand, they involve more difficult issues. They are more deeply rooted and they last longer than disputes. Conflict can be over non-negotiable issues such as human needs, fundamental human needs, moral differences, or distributional issues regarding essential resources such as money, water, or land. So generally, we say disputes are simpler than conflicts. Conflicts are more complex than dispute. The complexity is more in the issues that are involved. Issues involved in disputes are easily resolvable issues. Issues that we can resolve based on, interests that are negotiable. But in conflicts, that is not the case. Now, dispute settlement. Hello, sir. Okay, dispute settlement means the working out of a mutually satisfactory agreement between the parties involved. Parties involved in disputes, when we help them to resolve their issues, when we help them to come to negotiate their interests, what we are doing is dispute settlement. The aim of dispute settlement is to end the particular dispute without necessarily dealing with the causes. That's a major difference between conflict and dispute settlement, conflict resolution. Dispute settlement does not address the causes of the conflict. It suffices for it to just take care of the issues in question. However, a particular dispute may be settled permanently, whereas another unrelated dispute may arise as long as the underlying causes are present. So, however, in conflict resolution, we do more than that. We need to clarify that when we use the phrase conflict resolution, it could refer to the whole field of peace studies or field of conflict resolution, or it could refer to activity or the process of resolving conflicts. So in the literature, we can find it in these two dimensions. We can use it to refer to the field of conflict resolution, but increasingly in recent times, we have been trying to limit its usage to the activity of helping parties resolve their conflict. When it is used to refer to the whole field, it encompasses everything. But that was in traditional sense. More and more recent authors will now use it to mean the activity that we are learning about, the act of helping others to resolve their conflict. So in this sense, conflict resolution refers to efforts to address the underlying causes of the conflict by finding common interests and overarching goals of the parties. When we do conflict resolution, we try to foster positive attitudes. That's why I was emphasizing the other time that we need to change the perception of the people about their conflicts and about conflicts generally. So we try to help people foster positive attitudes in our parties and the parties and generate trust through reconciliation initiatives. And we try to build or strengthen institutions and processes that can enable parties to interact peacefully. So conflict resolution recognizes that by the clashing parties of one another's interests, needs, it involves recognition by the clashing parties of one another's interests, needs, perspectives, and goals, and their continued existence. In other words, one of the central things we do in conflict resolution is to help parties come to mutual acknowledgement, mutual recognition, and acceptance of the legitimacy of the other party's opinions, perspective, needs, and all those things. The most effective forms are identify the underlying cause of the conflict and address them through solutions that are mutually satisfactory. So you see, the mutuality of satisfaction is very important in conflict resolution and the sustainability of the process. And once we're able to help parties agree on something that is mutually satisfactory, we increase the chances of it being sustainable. So what are the differences between dispute settlement and conflict resolution? Conflict resolution often requires a more analytical problem-solving approach than dispute settlement. The main difference is that resolution requires identifying the causal factors behind the conflict and finding ways to deal with them. Dispute settlement, on the other hand, is aimed at simply ending a dispute as quickly and amicably as possible. Hence, it is possible to settle a dispute that exists within the context of a larger conflict without resolving the overall conflict. Sometimes, as we try to help people manage their conflict, we may have to do series of dispute resolution over dispute settlements over certain issues that are small, not so complex in nature. Okay, so we move to the third phrase or concept, conflict management. It means the control of a long-term or deep-rooted conflict. We are not resolving the conflict as of yet, but we want to control it to a manageable level, a level whereby we cannot bring in resolution or transformation of the conflict. Conflict management is the approach taken when conflict resolution seems to be impossible, yet we need to do something about the conflict. We want to curtail the intensity of violence. It's like we see that this thing is getting bad, this vegetable is getting rotten, but instead of going through complex preservation, we just feel, okay, let's first of all put it inside fridge so that the bacteria growing on it, their work will be minimized. So that is what conflict management is. Its goal is to intervene in ways that make the ongoing conflict more beneficial and less damaging to all sides. So on one hand, we are trying to ensure that this conflict does not, we reduce the adoption of violence in it and we adopt more peaceful means. An example of conflict management is peacekeeping, like we pointed out yesterday. When government says there's curfew in a community that has been undergoing violence, or the international community says peacekeeping force, they send peacekeeping force in a state, in a country where they have been having armed conflicts. That's an example of managing conflicts. Managing conflict, keeping it from getting worse, reducing the exacerbation of violence, and creating opportunities for the adoption of more peaceable approaches. Okay. So let's compare conflict resolution and conflict management. Underlying causes of conflict may not be addressed in conflict management because they are often embedded in the institutional structure of society. They can require significant socio-economic or political changes, and so on and so forth. As a result, there are other conceptions of ways to deal with but not necessarily resolve conflicts, and that is conflict management. Other ways that we use to deal with conflict without resolving it. This means this is what's referred to as conflict management. See? We also use negotiation, mediation, conciliation, and arbitration as part of the methods for conflict management. Conflict management supports the longer-term development of societal systems and institutions that enhance good governance, rule of law, and so on and so forth. In other words, we are creating space. We are trying to create conditions where peace can exist. Okay, conflict transformation. You see, conflict transformation is by far the deepest of all the four. And it's usually the one that lasts longer and the one that has the tendency to create a more sustainable peace. The idea of conflict transformation is that the energy created by conflicts, the energy, the force created by conflict can be used to drive positive change. It's like converting waste to wealth. That is conflict transformation. It pursues the development of change processes which explicitly focus on creating positives from the difficult or negative. It encourages greater understanding of underlying rational and structural patterns while building creative solutions that improve relationships. So the term was coined by John Lidrak, J.P. Lidrak. So conflict transformation tries to empower the participants through they recognizing each other and through educating them, and it tries to work on different levels of individuals and society. This is how it makes use of the change dynamic in conflict. Conflict transformation has a unique way of looking at conflict, and its unique way is seeing conflict as something positive, as having potentials to bring about positive change. For instance, if disputes, let's take example, let's look at an example of family dispute between couples. When dispute settlement comes into the scene, what he wants to do is say, man, stop doing this, woman, stop doing this, man, start doing this, woman, start doing this. That is dispute settlement. It doesn't care about what led to the conflict he met in the house. Resolution, on the other hand, will go beyond that. It will look at the causes. And based on that, it will work with the parties to arrive at a solution that is mutually acceptable to them. Conflict management, just a little higher than what dispute settlement will do. Maybe conflict management comes in when the husband and wife are beating themselves and abusing themselves. You will stand in between them and say, no, stop fighting. Woman, I must not hear "pem" from your mouth. Man, I must not hear "wem" from your mouth. It's trying to douse the tension before we can now start talking about, okay, what happened? Why did it happen? That is conflict management. But conflict transformation, when it comes in, it will come not as a visitor that want to spend a day or two. It will come in as a visitor that want to spend maybe weeks or months. What you want to do, you want to use that opportunity of the couples fighting to change their orientation about conflict, to empower the two of them through transforming the way they see themselves, transforming the power relations between them, through changing, if you find out that maybe there are some cultural practices that is fueling this fight, you want to change it. You want to look at the society and see whether there is anything, maybe something they are watching on TV, maybe there are some laws, there are some policies that is making that kind of relationship, that violent relationship between the husband and wife possible. It wants to change it. So generally, conflict transformation is long-term and it encompasses all the other three. It encompasses all the other three. It wants to change, it wants to teach the couples, it wants to change their cognition, their knowledge about conflict. You want to teach them. You want to also, you want to change their behavior. So, and he's doing all this because he's seeing that conflict as an opportunity to change the relationship between the husband and the wife, so that in the future, when they have their differences, they are now more empowered to negotiate their differences without necessarily going violent. So Conflict and change. There are 4 central areas in which conflict impacts a situation and changes things. When conflict happens, conflict transformation believes that when conflict happens, it changes individuals, it changes individuals at the personal level, it changes individuals at the relational level, how they relate with others. It also impacts the structure and culture. And these 4 areas are the areas that conflict transformation also wants to impact positively. So at the personal level, it's looking at it as changes effected in and desired for the individual. In other words, what are the changes that conflict effected on this individual, and what are the changes we desire in him? The husband that has become violent, that conflict has made him to become violent because he chose the violent option. Now, what do we want him to be? We want him to be non-violent. We want him to be constructive next time he has conflict. So, while we see the negative, we also desire the positive. So you see, unlike settlement or conflict resolution, in conflict transformation, we are not only stopping what is currently going on, we are not only looking at the underlying causes of these things, we are also creating a desired future. What do we desire for this family? We desire that, oh, maybe in the future, they will respect each other, they will have abundance so that there will not be complaints about money. So this kind of change that we desire in the personal, in each party, in each individual, we include cognitive, which has to do with knowledge, emotional, our psychology, the perceptual and spiritual aspects of human experience over the course of the conflict. At the relational dimension, this talks about the changes affected in and desire for the face-to-face relationship. What kind of relationship do we want to see in the couples? Yes, we have seen that they have been violent. That is what it is, but we are also looking at what ought to be. So we are looking at issues of emotions, power, interdependence, and the communicative and interactive aspects of conflict. These are key things at the relational level. At the structural level, we want to look at the underlying causes of conflict. Underlying causes of conflict. We want to see how social structures, organizations, and institutions are built and sustained and changed by conflict. How is this conflict in this family? What are the structural things in the society, in workplace, in religious organizations that are making this thing possible? The cultural dimension refers to the ways that conflict changes the patterns of group life, as well as the ways that culture affects the development of processes to handle and respond to conflict. So we want to look at how this conflict has affected culture and how certain things in our culture, as we learned yesterday in cultural violence, how certain things in our culture are making this conflict possible. And how do we need to change those things or change the orientation of these couples about those cultural elements, about those cultural things, cultural practices. So conflict transformation is a process of engaging with and transforming the relationships, interests, discourses, and if necessary, the very constitution of society that supports the continuation of violent conflict. So in conflict transformation, we want to transform the people, we want to transform the issues, we want to transform the context. For instance, if we found out that the context of a home is such that the man is the master and the woman is the slave, we want to transform that to talk about gender equality. To let the man know that when your wife, when there is equality, when you're not manhandling your wife, you can reap a lot of benefits from it. Conflict transformation emphasizes addressing the structural roots of conflict by changing existing patterns of behavior and creating a culture of non-violent approaches. It proposes an integrated approach to peace building that aims to bring about long-term changes in personal, relational, structural, and cultural dimensions. It recognizes also the local capacities for peace. In conclusion, conflicts are complex phenomena and require carefully planned intervention by interveners. Conflict transformation approach presents a useful framework for creating sustainable peace. So it is important that we as conflict managers, we learn more about the conflict transformation approach, especially when it comes to addressing family disputes, religious conflicts, communal conflicts. These, because they're usually very complex, they involve a lot of emotions and they involve a lot of baggages, emotional baggages, cultural, and so on, that many times dispute settlement may not give us a lasting thing. Conflict resolution may not be able to give us a lasting thing too. We may need to go into the deeper level of conflict transformation. Okay, a comparison between conflict resolution and conflict transformation. We're looking at their perspectives along certain variables. The first variable is the key question asked by each. Conflict resolution asks this question: how do we end something not desired? Whereas conflict transformation asks, how do we end something destructive and build something desired? The focus of conflict resolution is centered on the content, the issues in the conflict. The focus of conflict transformation is a relationship. The purpose of conflict resolution is to achieve an agreement and solution to the present problem that is creating the crisis. Whereas the focus of conflict transformation is to promote constructive change processes, inclusive of, but not limited to, immediate solutions. Immediate solutions will be part of it, but also we want to lay foundation for future desired, or for the desired future. So that's why I said conflict resolution is part of conflict transformation, while dispute settlement, conflict management are also part of conflict resolution. So transformation encompasses all. The development of the process, conflict resolution is embedded and built around the immediacy of the relationship where the present problem appears. Whereas conflict transformation is concerned with responding to symptoms and engaging the systems within which relationships are embedded. It focuses on relationship, but it's look at how the system surrounding the relationship, how they affect the relationship. So it believes that for me to have this relationship permanently changed or in the way I want it, I need to change some things in the system that are surrounding it. Generally, conflict resolution is short-term, whereas conflict transformation is mid to long-term in range. Conflict resolution sees conflicts as something we need to de-escalate, something we need to quickly, reduce. Whereas conflict transformation sees conflict as a dynamic ebb of conflict, dynamic of ebb and flow, and something to pursue constructive change. Now, fundamental principles or strategies of conflict resolution in practice. With the knowledge you are gaining now, if I want to intervene or manage a particular conflict brought to me, what are the practical steps I need to take? One, I need to reach agreements with the parties on rules and procedures. rules and procedures of the process. We all need to agree on that. 2, I need to reduce tension and synchronize the de-escalation of hostility. One way of reducing tension could be telling the parties to watch what they say or to keep quiet for now, not to say anything to anybody as you are trying to resolve the conflict. 3, improve the accuracy of communication, particularly improve each party's understanding of the other's perception. When conflict happens, parties stop listening to the other party. They stop listening to themselves. They just want to be heard, but they don't want to listen. So many times, what they say is what they don't mean, and what they mean, they don't say. So it is our part of our job as conflict managers to help them communicate better. You see, without conflict, communication is bad enough. Because many times, many of us, we are not good communicators, and those of us that are even good communicators that we consider ourselves, as long as the person or people you are communicating with, if they cannot decode everything you are saying, there's still a lacuna in communication, there's still gap in communication. And there are different reasons, there are various reasons for this. Experts on communication, like Dr. Ajete, they have seen that, they have said that there are a lot of baggages that we carry along when we communicate and when we decode other people's communication. And all this makes it, they make it difficult for us to accurately decode the message that is being sent. So more than half of the time, what we are saying is not what is being heard, because the listener also is using his own cultural, spiritual, physical, whatever baggages and lenses to see our message. Whereas we too, the way we pass it across. So the issue of communication is a very important, critical issue in conflict management. We have a course on communication in conflict. Sometimes for you to be able to manage conflict, it will involve you training, as it were, teaching parties to communicate without venom, to pass the message without passing the venom along with it. And there are several techniques to do that. We have iMessages, we have non-violent communication, and so on and so forth. The fourth thing we need to do is to control the number and size of issues in the discussion. Parties will come with so many issues. After you have listened to them, you will help them to prioritize. And then you'll be able to, because of time and other factors, you'll be able to say, okay, let's focus on the most important thing. So that not every issue will be, will be brought in, some issues that are even already dead. The fifth thing, strategy, is to establish common ground where parties can find a basis for agreement. In other words, when you look at the issues that the parties say are important to them, if you are a good negotiator, you will see places where there are overlapping interests. For instance, husband and wife. The man has said to you, what is most important to me, what I'm most concerned about is the welfare of my children. The wife also says the same thing to you in privacy. You have identified a common ground. Many times there are many common grounds that parties fail to see in conflict because they have been blinded by emotions. Many times, what unites parties in a conflict, especially parties in close relationship, like family, extended family, business partners, what unites them is much more than what is dividing them. But they'll be fighting over the minor or the minute things that are dividing them, and they will forget all about what they have in common. So part of conflict management is to help parties establish commonalities, common grounds, where they can find agreements. And finally, conflict managers need to help parties enhance the desirability of the options and alternatives that each party presents to the other. Ultimately, in conflict management, we help parties to negotiate. We help them to negotiate. You facilitate negotiation, and that is what is referred to as mediation. One of the courses we also offer is negotiation and mediation. In fact, for me, for us here, it is a compulsory course. That is where you learn the tactics, strategies, techniques of negotiating. When people are fighting over one pie, you'll be able to help them build larger pie so that what they are fighting over will now be enough and more abundant for everybody to share. It takes a good negotiator to do that. And you cannot really be a good conflict manager if you are not a good communicator, if you don't know how to communicate, and you don't know how to teach people to communicate, especially in conflict. That is number one. Number two, you cannot be a good conflict manager if you are not a good negotiator, because there must be give and takes, gives and takes. You must help them to prioritize what they can trade off. Sometimes what is important to this party is nothing to this party, and this party is ready to kill for it. But because of the wahala, the hula baloo, the confusion that comes with conflict, with destructive conflict, parties wouldn't easily realize that they have negotiable interest, they have what other party desire, and they can get, and the other party can give them what they desire. But conflict managers are the ones to help them see that. So these are fuller discussions on each of these strategies to help people reach agreements, to help people manage conflicts. So reach agreement on rules and procedures. I've said about that. And part of the agreement will be, where do we meet? Probably your office or your church or a neutral ground. We have a formal agenda. This is what we do first. We determine who we attend. The husband and the wife. Okay, you can come with your children, or you can come with your sibling or your parents-in-law. You must all agree on that, or with your friends, or even with your lawyers at times. We set time limits. We will be meeting per session. One session will be 2 hours. You can hold one session a day or 2 sessions. And we set rules, procedures, and we follow specific do's and don'ts. We must put our our phone in silence, and so on and so forth. These are some of the ground rules we must set. 2, to manage tensions, we need to do the following: separate the involved parties. We can crack jokes when we bring them together to break ice. We will have to teach them something we call, is under communication, anyway, active listening, so that they will actively listen to the other party. Because our mind used to wander when the other party is talking. We are waiting for him to land so that we attack. But that will not let the parties make the most of the situation or be able to negotiate very well. If they don't listen to the other party, they won't know those things that he is hammering on, that is emphasizing. I've spoken extensively about how to improve the accuracy of communication. There are specific strategies. We have empathic listening or active listening. We used to call it active listening. We now call it empathic listening. Listening with the view of understanding things from the view of the other. Imaging, how do the parties see the other party? How do they appear to them? We can use this technique to help parties to understand how the other parties see them. And when they are able to see what the other party is seeing them as, it may force them or help them to want to change. Also equally important is how the parties see themselves. Okay. Controlling the number and size of issues. I've spoken extensively about that. Establish common ground where parties can find a basis for agreement. I've spoken a lot about this too. However, we get more details on this when we participate in our course on negotiation and mediation. You see, negotiation and mediation they have their own techniques and skills that every conflict manager will do well to acquire. Okay, I'm wrapping up now. Okay, sometimes parties give options to the other party. They want to make trade-off, but they're not packaging this thing very well. So the way they're packaging it, it looks less desirable to the other party. Conflict managers can help them put wrapping paper on it so that the proposal will be acceptable to the other party they are offering it to. So that ends our discussion on core terms and some phrases and practices like dispute settlement, conflict resolution, conflict management, conflict transformation, and also practical things we do when we want to help parties resolve their conflicts. That is the fundamental principles for conflict resolution in practice. These are general guiding principles. We will break them further down when we get to negotiation, in courses on negotiation, courses on negotiation and mediation rather, courses on conflict management, courses on emotional intelligence and emotional intelligence and mediation. You see, these are courses that Dr. will be talking about to us in the next session, which we talk about careers and specializations in conflict management. Here we want to see how we build our capacity, in managing conflict, how we make career out of conflict management. Pastor John said something the other time. He said in his experience in churches, family dispute is the most predominant, and that every church leader will do well to be able to help with family disputes. Family dispute is not only between a husband and a wife. Like the example he gave, it was between a father and the children. So it could be over properties and so on and so forth. But because of the sacredness of families, the way we resolve their issues is different from the way we resolve issues between business partners. Because we're talking of blood. The Bible says in Proverbs, one of the things that God hates is somebody that separates brethren, that sow discord among family members. Some people, in trying to help a family or a member of a family, they eventually sow discord, not deliberately. But Dr. Jeppe will be giving us an overview of some of these courses. One of them is we have a course we call family mediation. Family mediation. Before we can do that, we first of all need to do negotiation and mediation so that we will be better equipped to function in our various positions as leaders in God's household. So I want to thank you very much. Whatever question we have, I pray that we defer them till the end. We have some minutes towards the end dedicated to question and answers. You may put your questions and answers somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Please, I'll need to share my screen.
Okay, ma'am. Let me.
You can also share for me.
Okay, do you prefer
Thank you,
share
sir.
for me?
And share the material.
Okay. I think I have somebody said something now.
Oh, it's thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you too, sir. Okay,
Am I permitted now?
let me help you to share it then.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. It's been a wonderful time.
Thank you, ma. Okay, Dr. Ajekwe.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's been a long day. So I'll be taking
Shalom
career
and
and
good evening.
specialization.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, Ma. You're most welcome, Dr. Adefe.
Thank you, sirs and ma'am. So we'll be talking briefly on career and specializations in conflict management. Interestingly, this discipline of peace and conflict happens to be one in which anyone who shows interest, who is interested and compassionate about the discipline can actually function after thorough training. And I happen to be an example. For instance, my area is communications, but I attended a course like this and I got interested and, had a couple of trainings, and here I am today. So there are several careers that you can take up in conflict management. And
Dr.
if you're going to
Ajekwe,
build your capacity, yeah.
please, I'm sorry. I think I'm supposed to introduce you.
Okay.
Just quickly do that. Like Dr. Ajekwe has said, she has a PhD in communication studies, English and communication studies, and she joined the conflict management train in 2018, thereabout, 2019, thereabout, and she's now at the forefront of alternative dispute resolution. She has become a member of one of the biggest institutes for conflict management in Nigeria. And recently, she became a fellow of that institute, talking about passion. You see, I know I've introduced literally tens of people to the field before her, but she just managed to outrun or outpace all of them, really, all of them. She was currently, I mean, she was recently trained as an expert. We call them neutrals, online dispute resolution neutral. So she's been trained to be able to even mediate through virtual platforms. It doesn't have to be there physically to help people sort their problems. And in the last 2 weeks or 3 or so, in 2 weeks now, she was appointed as one of the 5 people that are seen as resolution specialists of a very big institute in Nigeria, resolution specialists that will help with the online dispute resolution. So as she said, she has really come far, and the opportunity is there for anybody to specialize. Some of the courses she'll be talking about today are the courses she herself has taken, has been trained on them. So welcome with me once again, Dr. Ife Ajekwe.
Thank you, Prof.
Yes, ma'am.
So as I was saying, it is easy for anyone to build capacity and specialize or build a career in the area of conflict management. All it takes is passion and a lot of trainings. So in building your capacity, the first training you will need to take, because there are specialized courses, we're going to go through some of them. That makes you, more confident. That teaches you the skills that you can use in, addressing or managing any conflict that you're confronted with. Just like I heard here that family dispute is the commonest in the church. We have a lot of disputes, even family disputes is out there. We hear of divorces, we hear of several things, causing issues in different families. We have, so to build your capacity, in this area, you will have to take some courses. Of course, the first is the introductory course to management of conflict. And the next slide, sir. Okay. So this introductory course will involve an overview of key concepts in conflict management, a comprehensive understanding of conflict, orientation, perspective to conflict. We have gotten the basis from this particular 2-day course, but you go in depth, you will need some of these courses. You have conflict management responses, conflict analysis, which you have, also taken. Now, specialization courses in this area would include negotiation and mediation, for instance, family mediation, transforming communal conflict, mediating religious conflict, oil and gas dispute resolution, online dispute resolution, emotional intelligence in mediation, communication in conflict management, facilitating dialogue, convening problem-solving workshop, convening conflict resolution workshop. All these courses are packages in different institutes, and Healthman Academy also offers some of these. So should you be interested at the end of this 2-day training, you can make more inquiry on how you can become experts in these courses. Incidentally, and good enough, most of these trainings can come up virtually. COVID has taught us all how to make use of our devices. Before now, you have to apply, meet in a particular place, maybe for 3-4 days, and then the facilitators will come around and teach. And then you pay, of course, sometimes exorbitantly. Some courses range from 40,000, 100,000, 150, 250, even much more. But thank God for online virtual training, so you can sit in the comfort of your homes and take some of these courses. Now, negotiation and mediation. Negotiation simply means the act of communicating by two parties or groups for the purpose of reaching an understanding, presumably beneficial to both parties. We all know what negotiation is, basically. You want to win some, you want to lose some, you want to sit with someone to agree, disagree, and then at the end of the day, everybody is satisfied. That is what negotiation is about. So there is no how you can manage disputes or you can resolve, we have people that are negotiators. We have people that negotiate for Nigeria when it comes to international issues. So on the basis of dispute resolution, dispute management, you have a course or a career that you can take in negotiation, and of course mediation. The essence of negotiation is for the parties to work together to solve a problem, basically. But there are skills to it. That is why it would be good that if you want to grow in this career, or you are in a position as church leaders now to help resolve a lot of issues, people come to you all the time. I believe you need to have those skills so that you can talk to both parties, advise them on how they can compromise, and all those other skills you have been learning since yesterday. And then mediation is another aspect that is very key. And the whole world these days is encouraging alternative dispute resolution. That is, you don't have to go to the court. Like, they say in Yoruba, you don't go, or any language, even, you don't go to court and come back as friends. So as much as possible, the world is going to, is encouraging alternative dispute resolution. And one key way of doing it is through mediation. Through mediation. And then you even find out that the courts are congested. I'm sure we all know that. Sorry, my internet is unstable, so it's shaking my head and hands all over the place. But at least I'm sure you can hear me. So you find out that there are a lot of congestion in court these days. You see people innocently waiting for their time in court, 2 years, 3 years. So in order to reduce that, even the courts are beginning to send cases to mediators, to different institutes and all that. So mediation is a non-binding process, usually between two groups of people, the person or two conflicting parties. The mediator is that man or woman who is in between, who is helping them to come together, to bury their hatchets, and then come to a mutually acceptable agreement. That is basically what mediation is. But there are skills to it. It is not enough to say, okay, I'm the chief of my town, I'm the founder of my church, so I know how to settle disputes, you know. So that is why some of these courses are good for you. Then, of course, I think I've said enough about the mediator or what mediation is about. Next slide, please. Next slide, Prof.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, still talking about mediation. Training in negotiation and mediation is therefore compulsory for a conflict manager. You know, in your own interest, it would be good to have this kind of training so that you are able to mediate appropriately. You know, without acquiring certain skills, you may not be able to, you know, negotiate properly or mediate appropriately. So one is not considered a conflict manager until he or she has acquired these skills. Next slide, please.
Okay.
Okay, so another key area, you know, which can be an area of specialization for a mediator. If that is what you think you're confronted with a lot of times and you're interested, family mediation is a course that, you know, you can take, because it, according to the UK Family Mediation Council, is a situation where a mediator, that is a trained neutral third party, helps couples who are splitting up, getting a divorce, or dissolving a civil relationship come to some settlement based on facilitated negotiations. And when we talk about family mediation, it's not just about divorce. You have child custody, children maintenance, other financial issues such as savings. And for family issues too, family mediation can take care of separation, physical and psychological abuse, extended family interference, in-laws dispute, inheritance. Some of these are all come under family mediation, as long as it has to do with the family. So basically, it focuses, for westernized words, most of the time they'll be talking about, you know, divorces, how they want to make the divorce convenient. But here, by our own nature in Africa and in church, we don't necessarily encourage, you know, maybe divorce unless it's a matter of life and death, you know. So we will have explored through mediation in Africa how, you know, people can bend over backwards, how couples can have understanding, how you can find out the root causes of what's happening. Is it still possible to come together? Unless, like I said, that is a matter of, you know, it's threatening to life. Maybe there's physical abuse or issue of poisoning or some things like that. So family mediation here between husbands and wife also include, you know, if it involves threatening of peace, harmony, and all that of the family, a family mediator will be able to come in to reconcile them. So next slide, please. So just like I said, within the African context, when you talk about family mediation, you are not just waiting for them to say, yes, you want to divorce, I'm the one taking the children, you are the one, we are splitting the house. No, an African mediator will first of all try to see which ways they can go about, you know, settling their dispute. And if by chance they still have to divorce, then you want to see how there will not be bitterness. You want to see how tomorrow they can still see each other and greet each other. You want to see how their children will not feel the impact of the divorce. Because we find out that most of the time when couples divorce, it is the children that suffer the most, one way or the other. Even if they have everything provided by the both parents, you still find out that psychologically they are affected. So the role of a family mediator is to ensure, to speak to them, to mediate and see how the children will not be too affected. You know, how maybe they can have visiting and then the children are not even so aware. They just know that dad and mom are not staying together, but you're able to manage, you know, the bitterness that can be an after effect of any divorce. So generally speaking, family dispute is expected to precede litigation. That is, it is only when this option has been explored and is not working, that's when they end up going to court. That is what mediation is trying to encourage. That is, you know, use every avenue to see what can be done. It doesn't mean they will not separate. It doesn't mean they will not divorce, even if they have to. But they don't have to go to court. Because when you go to court and come back and you have exposed all the unexposables, you end up coming out bitter, and that can continue on and on and on. So that's what family mediation is basically about, and the course is available. for anyone to take. Another area of specialization is transforming communal conflict, and it is a cost too. It's a cost that people, pay for and learn the skills for it. Communal conflict, we all know, this is Africa. Even in Nigeria, we have different communities that have had issues from ages. If Modakeke was one, I'm sure if we all think back in our various society, we'll know one or two, communal conflicts that have been on either for years or it's just growing. So communal conflict is a conflict between and among community people over issues relating to the community, and it happens within the geographical space of the community or in relatively close proximity. It could be between one village and the other. It could be within the village itself, within a particular environment. There can be a communal conflict, and it can be from one village, one town to another. So essential character of communal conflict include community issues, people acting collectively as groups, or happening within the community space. I'm sure if we think well, we'll have examples of such here and there in Nigeria. So here, the issue is that parties have real or perceived incompatibility of the substance or the issues in conflict. We know the kind of things communities can, have disputes on: land, boundaries. One village had extended beyond the forefathers' boundary of another village, and such other things. Next slide, please. Another area of specialization, another course, is mediating religious conflict. And I'm sure this will interest many of us because you are church leaders, mediating religious conflict. So religious conflict is one of the most difficult to resolve due to the nature of religions. Religious conflict could be sectarian, that is between sects of a religion, or interreligious, conflict between groups of different faiths, Christian, Muslim, or even amongst the Muslims, you have the ones that tie their hair, you have different sects like that. And even within the Christian body, we all know, because you have denominations. Sometimes you see one denomination talking bad about the other. That is still a conflict. So people have killed and have been killed for their religions, because the religion is the opium of the people, like they say. People, it's a spiritual thing, so people take it operating, or how that is manifesting in the north. The southern, and northern Kaduna. So, and maybe the head of the place in back.
Hello, Dr. Ajepe.
It's breaking.
Hello, Dr. Ajepe. Your audio is ceasing.
We cannot hear.
I think she has.
The audio is gone. It's gone, absolutely.
Yeah, I think she's even disconnected.
I'm back.
Oh, great.
I think I'm back. Okay. So mediating religious conflict is a course, is a training that will be, appealing to some of us, to some of you. And that's an area of specialization as well. Then you have oil and gas dispute resolution. Oil and gas dispute resolution. In the Niger Delta, we all know what's happening. We know what's been happening. People have been killed. People have been kidnapped because we have militants, because the oil companies are exploiting them, and all that. So this kind of course will enable, and already people are taking it, people in the Niger Delta, people in various organizations, corporate organizations, Shell, Chevron, oil companies, they must have this kind of skill. And even the community leaders must have this kind of skill, because from time to time, we hear of what is happening over there, kidnapping and all that, uprising. So this course identifies common disputes in the oil and gas industry. It also covers how specific alternative dispute resolution methods can be applied in resolving such conflicts. so that it doesn't lead to violence. Furthermore, it shows how participants can sell their services in the industry. So oil and gas dispute resolution is another course, it's another area of specialization that some conflict managers engage in. Next, please. Next slide, Prof.
Yes. The next slide is there, online dispute resolution.
Oh, okay. Now, this is the most current now, the online dispute resolution. As Prof mentioned earlier, we now have in Nigeria a platform, a portal, whereby you can, I'm sure by the end of this program, we'll also post it on the platform that all of us are in. It was launched yesterday, and we now have an opportunity to send our disputes online with just a token, and then you have the neutrals who have been appointed in Nigeria taking care of such information. All they need from you is what happened. And I think it's even 3,000. What happened, and then you give the names, you give the details of the person that either has offended you or that you have a dispute with, and then leave the rest to them. Of course, you pay a token. If it is something you're trying to get back, you may have to pay a certain percentage of it, but ultimately you get your issues resolved. So it is important to also take this kind of course, online dispute resolution, so that should you find yourself having, for the church founders, for instance, maybe you have a branch in Kafancha, or you have a branch in Eleme in Port Harcourt, and the pastor in the church is telling you about something that's happening between some members of the church, and because of the insecurity on the roads, you don't want them to travel down. You can engage some of these skills to solve the problem without them having to travel or you having to travel. So online dispute resolution is a mechanism to resolve disputes through the use of electronic communication or other information and communication technology. You can do that on your phone, you can do that on your laptop once you know how to operate the device. It usually uses alternative dispute resolution methods like negotiation, mediation, and arbitration. So training in ODR will equip participants with the skills to use e-communication platforms for ADR services. It makes you better, it makes you know how to even operate the device more. Just like we're having this course anyway, I'm sure some people will have learned a couple of new things since this program started yesterday. Because some of the buttons, raise your hand, do this, do that, it's not every time that we're familiar with it, but this is a good opportunity. And then you have emotional intelligence in mediation. It's a course. I'm sure you'll be wondering, why do I have to know what this is about? You're dealing with different kinds of people. Let me read what this is about. Emotional intelligence is a competency that engenders mediators with the ability to deal with the range of emotions presented to them. Yesterday, when Dr. George was giving his training, he asked Prof. Akinade to post the various, what's it called now? Personality types. Because of our various personality types, we tend to exhibit different kind of emotions at different times. You see people that get angry unnecessarily and you'll be wondering what happened, what has this person done? And then you see people that are maybe a little too slow to even react to anything. So in order to be able to manage these different emotions, in order to be able to be strong enough yourself and not, for instance, people bring issues to you and you are the one that is crying, because you empathize with them. At the end of the day, you may not be able to mediate or find a solution that is objective, because already somebody is saying that my husband did this and that, and you remember too that your husband too did that to you, and you begin to share empathy and cry, So you need emotional intelligence in mediation. You need to know how you can build yourself up, how you can accommodate different types of emotions that come to you. Some people will come to you crying, meanwhile it is fake cry. There's some women that actually trouble their husbands at home and they really want to come and cry and tell you what happened. So you must be able to decipher which emotion is real and which one is fake, before you start settling or calling the man and talking to him anyhow. So the emotional intelligence of mediators varies significantly depending on experience and background. A mediator may not possess this to effectively deal with emotions and empathize. So, and hence the need for all mediators to give careful attention to the issues of emotion and empathy in mediation. So this course equips the mediator with emotional intelligence to make them more successful as a mediator, to make them to be able to, accommodate different types of emotions and still mediate appropriately. Another course, another area of specialization, another tool and skill that is important for a mediator is communication. If you think deeply, you will see that a lot of misunderstanding that we have with people usually is as a result of he said this, she said that. Even between couples, it is the way he said it that got me angry. It is the way she said it, and so on and so forth. And sometimes it's even not saying anything at all that is the origin of the dispute, because some people don't know how to communicate appropriately. So as a mediator, you need to have the skills of communication, and in order for you to even be able to reach out to the parties, because some people come, bring their disputes, and they're all hot and angry. How do you want to calm them down? The words that you speak must be seasoned with salt. That is communication. So it's a skill. Some people have it naturally, but learning about it will give you additional skills to make you a successful conflict manager. So it is very critical in conflict. Communication or lack of it is a major cause and driver of conflict. Just like I explained, how conflict parties communicate their differences, expectations, and incompatibility goes a long way in determining the nature and outcome of their conflict. I'm sure that is very clear to us. Communication, even like they say, between couples in marriage, communication is very key. It is because some people don't know how to talk that their spouses are not enjoying them. Either it's the woman or the man. They talk carelessly and so on. So a course like this will help you as an individual, and it will help you as a conflict manager. Okay. Next, please. So a conflict manager, building their capacity through these specialization courses. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kajeke, for that very wonderful presentation. I want us to appreciate Dr. Kajeke, please.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, I think we are back on our timetable now, able to retrace our steps. So we have 10 minutes stretch break to stretch our backs. If you're in a good space, you can do some exercises, some stuff. But before we do that, please, I want us all to put on our videos. I've been taking some screenshots before. I want to take other ones now. Let's put on our video, on our cameras. I appreciate those of us that put on our cameras throughout. But a few of us, we've been putting them on. Pastor Elimimian, please, your camera. Madam Juliet, Madam Ibukole Janet, Engineer Tayo Olajide, please put on your camera. We're about taking group photo. Madam Tonya Deshokan, please. Madam Patience Akinade, please, your camera on. Elder Olubukola Tishafe, please, your camera on. Thank you. Just a minute. I'm taking a group. A minute. In my place, they say something like
Saturday.
Please mute your mic.
Like, in my place, they say something like there's no cheating. There's no cheating in photograph. Photo. It is how you pose that we see you. Okay, so thank you. I've taken that attendance for this session. Thank you very much. So let's have our 10-minute stretch break. And let's stretch. Oh, some of us, we don't leave our seats during break. It's not good though. Please let the blood flow. Let's move around. Let's do my head, my shoulder, my knee, my toes. They all belong to Jesus. Watermelon, 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 everything. Thank you very much. See you in the next 10 minutes by 3:45.
I can't hear anything. No, I don't know. Are we still on? Or am I the only one out?
Ma, we have gone on break. 10 minutes. We're on break, ma. Mr. Chafe, we are on break till 3:45. Stretch break.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yes,
God bless.
amen, ma. We are welcome back from our break. Did you really stretch?
Welcome back, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I did.
Oh, I did some
Welcome back, sir.
stretching. Yes, ma'am.
We did, sir.
Oh, I did some stretching too, and it really helped me. At least my waist feels better now from the long sitting. Okay. We wrap up with the last session now. I mean, the last presentation. Then we give opportunity for other groups to present. And then there'll be time for questions and answers of everything we have discussed and everything about the course. And finally, Dr. Ajepe will wrap up for us with some very important information. But I must say that on our part, we are also very grateful for your participation. Yesterday, many people could not sign in because of technical issue from our end. And therefore, we have decided to do a makeup for yesterday's class. Ordinarily, what we are supposed to say is that let's send the audio or the video, the recordings of last class of yesterday to people, and then let them listen to it or watch it on their own. However, for the credibility of our certificates, that will not be possible, because if we do that, we don't have control over ensuring that the people watch it. So if some people, whether due to legitimate or illegitimate reasons, are not able to watch it, and we give them certificates that they have participated, whereas they haven't participated in yesterday's course, which is the foundation for today, it will affect their delivery, and ultimately our certificates will become questionable. We don't want that. That is why we say we're going to have a makeup class. At the end of today, we are going to talk about when to have the makeup class. The when will definitely be this week, because as Dr. Adekoya will tell us later, we want submissions of group activity, group work by the end of this week, by weekend, or the next weekend. We want everything to every group to have submitted their activity. So that is that. I must also say that on our part, we sincerely appreciate your participation. I have trained virtually, physically, all over, but this is the first time I'm training church leaders. For years, when I go out to train, especially physical training, and I have in the audience army generals, serving army generals, serving justices of high courts. I'm not whether I've trained anybody from Supreme Court, high courts, magistrates, and so on and so forth. And I have DGs. I hardly have clergymen, maybe ones and twos, but I always yearn to want to reach out to clergymen. At least in the last 5 years, I've been wanting to, oh, I need to bring this into the church. I need to bring this into the church. But maybe like Paul, I don't know whether it was the devil that was standing in my way or whatever. But to have the opportunity to reach out to this number of clergymen, I am sincerely grateful to all of you, and I'm grateful to God for it. It's inherently rewarding for me. The Bible says, do good to all men. It said, but especially to them who are of the household of faith. So the priority should be the church. And I'm happy that the skills will be going away with will be such that it will help us to better administer the flocks of the Lord, that the Lord has put under our care. So, as I said in the morning, all successful participants in our program will have the opportunity to recommend one or two people for automatic admission into our course, into this our free course. The courses that Dr. Jeppe spoke about, almost all of them are offered here in MSMAN. Very soon, we will add up everything that we will to provide all of them. Some of them are not done by any institute that I know of in Nigeria. None of them. And some of the institutes or agencies I train with as a facilitator, for a 2-day training like this, the last time I checked, the minimum was 60,000 naira for members and 75,000 naira for non-members. 1 week training, virtual, we used to do it for negotiation and mediation, basically. We used to do the virtual one, 120,000. I mean, those institutes, and I facilitate with them regularly. And one of the faculties, I wrote some of the curriculum for them, both the one in the presidency and the other one. So, the last time we were doing one of them 120,000, virtual one. Last December, they increased it to 150. The physical version of that one was is now 200,000, Monday to Friday, 200,000. We have a course on negotiation and mediation that is 500,000 naira. That one is run by a government agency. 500,000 naira for 2 weeks. That's about 250,000 per week. In our own case, we are going to price it significantly lower than these agencies. At most half the price. Let me say half the price. But even at half price, we're going to make significant consideration for church leaders. In other words, we're going to give serious discounts to church leaders. Among us, the faculties, we are still discussing what should be appropriate pricing, especially for church leaders. We should get back to you on our platform before the end of next week, so that some of us that we want to take advantage of our basic course, negotiation and mediation, we want to do that on time. But I should say that at least you have experienced us, even the course that we call free, that is 2 days. Many of you have seen how intensive it is and how value-adding it is. The fact that we will price our other courses lower than other agencies, other firms, does not in any way suggest that our contents are inferior to theirs. If anything, I can tell you authoritatively, our contents are superior to theirs. Why? Because one of the reasons is that we have more experience, and most of our faculties here, we are academics. Before I started training on negotiation, I've been teaching negotiation and mediation for 14 years now. For 14 years. And not only that, I've been trained on negotiation and mediation both within and outside Nigeria. And you know how we academics do our thing. We load contents, both knowledge, competence, skills. And also, because we are faculties in these other institutes, we see what we teach. We see what we are allowed to train there. And we have significantly improved on their contents, on their delivery to have this. For instance, this our 2-day training. usually there is no agency or firm that I've trained with in Nigeria that organizes something like this and give pre-course activities. No, they don't do pre-course. You can send materials to participants before the day, before the training, but we don't ask them to do pre-course activities. But you agree with me that your interaction before the course significantly assisted your assimilation. It assisted the value you are able to draw from the main training. You see, it has whetted, as it were, your appetite, and some of you have gained certain insights before you came for the training. So what I'm saying is that our trainings are designed to impact us the more. I know an institute that collects huge amounts of money for participants, and at the end of the day, they don't give you their PowerPoint slide. They don't record their virtual training, not to talk of making it available to participants. I've tried to argue with them that I'll give it to them. It will make the participants to go over these materials and learn this thing the more. But they say, Prof, lie, we won't do that. In Hemsman, as I said in the morning, we put our recordings, we put it on our website, and we give access to all our participants to be able to listen or watch them over again to have better understanding. So, having said that, let us move ahead to the next and last presentation in this course. Hello, can we see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Yes, sir.
We can see your
Thank you very
slide.
much. Oh, great. Okay, you will see that what we have there is Module 8, General Approach to Providing Conflict Management Services.
Somebody should be muted, though.
Reverend Adeshokon, please always remember to mute your speaker.
Sorry.
Okay, so here we want to look at how do I, as a participant in this course, how do I proceed? How do I proceed to begin to make my services as a conflict manager available to the public? What do I do? You see, the best form of knowledge, or the best way to retain knowledge, is when you use what you have learned. Do not in any way underestimate what you have learned, both knowledge and skills and abilities that you have acquired in the last 1 or 2 weeks. I'm taking in cognizance the pre-course activities. Don't underestimate it at all. Some things you have learned, you want to value it very well, talk to a friend of yours that didn't attend this course and begin to ask them some things about conflict management. You will see that majority will not know what you now know. But to retain what you now know, studies have shown that when you learn something, you retain a certain percentage, maybe less than 30% of what has been learned. When you teach others, you have up to about 50%, thereabout. But when you use what you have learned, you retain up to 70, 80% of what you have learned. So we are saying that you need to put to use what you have learned. How do you go about it? First and foremost, let people know about your new competence in conflict management. Let them know that you have acquired a certificate in conflict management, that you are now a conflict manager. We have done about 15 hours. At the end of today, you'll have done 15 hours of face-to-face interaction, and you have done several hours. Let's say in the minimum for your pre-course activities, you should have done up to 3 hours of pre-course activity if you put every time you spent on WhatsApp together. After the pre-course, for the post-course, you will spend minimum of 6 hours. So this is talking about 24 hours in the minimum. It is not something to push under the carpet. Let people know that you have now acquired some skills and knowledge in conflict management. Don't be shy about it. The next thing to do is you need to study your materials more. Like I said, when you are taught in trainings or in class, after certain days, what you retain will begin to drop until maybe in a week or 2 weeks, study says you have lost more than 70% or 70% of what you learned. So you want to go over the materials again. The charts in your group, the study materials, the videos, if you want to put them online, you want to go through them to understand better. The Bible says, study to show yourself approved, a workman who needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So to gain expertise, one needs to study. The third thing is that once you have your certificate, display it. Maybe at the back of your seat, maybe in your house, at the back of your seat in your office, put it somewhere conspicuous. So that people, when they come, they say, whose certificate is this? Even if you have forgotten to tell them about it, they say, I did a course on conflict management, so I'm now a conflict manager. And when you come into the office and you see the certificate, it will remind you that you need to deploy these new skills you have acquired. We have promised you that everybody that successfully completes the program will be given certificates. We will give each person electronic certificate. If you want a hard copy certificates, Dr. Jope will tell us how to go about that very shortly. Now, let these new skills that you have acquired, let them show in your life. Let people now know in the way you talk, in the way you behave, in your approach to conflicts. Let them see you use those terminologies. Those terms like conflict, how you define conflict now, how you separate conflict from violence, conflict resolution. Let them see you use it as an expert, not as layman again. Let people in your immediate environment know that something new has happened to you. The next thing to do is to use your skills. Use these skills. Don't wait until you are perfect. Don't wait until you have acquired all the specialized courses. Don't wait until then. Because some of us have even we have mediated in conflict before taking this course. But now the new things we have learned, let us continue to use it when new opportunity arises. In our neighborhood, in our church, in our offices, at work. Now, the usage of these skills will necessarily or will usually start with pro bono services, things you do free of charge. One of my mentors in mediation, we did masters together 2003. He studied mechanical engineering. He has totally forgotten about engineering now. He said what he's now doing is human engineering, because he's now fully into mediation. He's one of the richest people I know in mediation. He did a training like this. He did not, his own was 1 week, like our negotiation and mediation training. He did it in 2002. He was trained as a mediator. After that, he was part of the people that established Lagos Multi-Door Court House. And he was doing his services there free of charge. He was taking on cases. They were referring cases to him. When other people are saying, I must collect a few. He was a young man then. He was doing it free of charge. So sometimes you have to trek to the multi-door court house. Sometimes you have to sleep on an empty stomach. So one day, maybe he has just come back from vigil or something. He was still sleeping. He just had a call. Hello, is that Shegun Ogunyawu? Said yes. Who am I speaking with? He said, please, I want you to take the next available flight to Abuja. Said, but sir, I don't know who I'm speaking with. Please, I have 2 friends. They want to kill me. The 2 of them, the 3 of us were best of friends. Now the 2 of them, they are dragging themselves to court. You are speaking to his what do they call these justices? The justice, this man is a justice, maybe of the Supreme Court, or I think it was a justice of the Supreme Court, or Chief Justice of maybe in Abuja or something. The man said, as I'm talking to you, I couldn't sleep overnight because yesterday their case was brought to my court. I'm the one to assign their case to a judge, but I cannot sleep over the fact that my 2 best friends are dragging themselves to court over the issue of property. Please, young man, I got your number. People said you are a very good mediator. You have resolved. I got your number from social person because you helped him to resolve his case. Please. That was how he said he didn't have money. The man sent flight ticket to him. He landed in Abuja. When he got to Abuja, found out that the case was between these 2 friends. It was during the time El Rufai, well, no, not El Rufai. This man in Kaduna State Governor, Nasir, was the mayor, as it were, of Abuja, or what do they call it? And he was demolishing legal houses, structures in Abuja. Sorry to interrupt
Kindly
you.
mute your speaker, please. I don't even know who that.
Okay, so friend A had this massive shopping complex that he had built, and he had occupant there. For some reasons, he decided to sell it to friend B, who excitedly took it because the structure was in a very, very good location. I think he sold it to him, maybe 150 million or 100 million. No, it was far more than 100 million, maybe 150 or 200 million. Shortly after friend B bought it, El Rufai demolished it. Friend B was now claiming that friend A knew that that place was going to be demolished. That was why he sold the place to him at such a cheap price. Friend A was like, he never had any idea. Friend B did not believe him. That's why he took him to court. The justice said he had tried everything to reconcile the 2 friends. Nothing. He called my senior friend. He was in his early 40s then, to come and resolve the conflict. The man said, in one visit to Abuja, within 2 hours, the matter was completely resolved. The 2 friends apologized, they hugged, and the resolution was that since the money was and the property was sold 200 million. The man that sold the property should return 100 million to the other guy, and that other guy should also, and that was how the guy lived after offering several pro bono services. So it's till today, immediate in communal conflict for oil companies. And there was a time, I mean, I think sometime maybe last year or during COVID, UN sent their helicopter, their chopper, to come and pick him in Abuja. They took him to the northeast to go and do mediation training. Last week, he was in Saudi Arabia to do mediation training. This man is one of the people I knew that earn in dollars then from Shell. He said, Shell, for this job is $30,000. Oh, for this one is $50,000. Chevron will pay because it will help them mediate. So we need to start using our skills, but the usage at first may be at the level of free service first. And once we gain traction, once people know about us, it is at that time they begin to refer us to people that can pay. We know that even lawyers that are trained are advised in trying to build their career to start sometimes with pro bono, pro bono, pro bono. They acquire experience, they acquire network, which will be very valuable to them. But although the services may be pro bono, you should offer it in a standard format. Standardize it, formalize it. For instance, people who come to you, they're expected to fill a form to register their grievances, they're expected to fill a form for agreements that they will submit themselves to the dispute resolution, conflict management process, and so on and so forth. You have records for all this. Have records for how many hours you want to be having per session, and so on and so forth. In your office, put it there, mediation service, so time to so time. If you are full-time pastor, put it there that you offer conflict management, so day. Members, you can bring your conflict, so day, from so time to so time. Formalize it. Sometimes people need to see such values for them to place the value on what you are offering for them. Yoruba, we have this adage. It is how you refer to your calabash that people will refer to it for you. If you say your calabash is full, you say it's a full calabash. If you say your calabash is small, you say it's a small calabash. So let us standardize our services. Let us standardize our services. Okay, I've talked about pro bono services. And finally, to proceed, just to reiterate what Dr. Depe said, we need to build our capacity through specialized courses. We need to build our capacities through specialized courses. The first one, anybody that wants to be a good conflict manager will do is the course on negotiation and mediation. Negotiation and mediation. I said you cannot be a good conflict manager, you don't know how to negotiate. And the same goes for mediation. So these are things we need to do to make a career out of our conflict management skills. To make some of us are not interested in making money, really. Some of us are just interested in doing conflict management better. Fantastic. But for those of us, whether we're interested in making money or not, these are the same steps we need to take. We need to formalize to make this thing official. Pastoral work is part of pastoral work, but yet it's done in a standard way. For instance, there are some pastors, they are good at counseling, and they have formalized their counseling. If you come, fill this form, and that, the same way, that's what we are saying. Formalize your conflict management services. Make it formal. Let the church know that, yes, it's part of pastoral work, or church leadership work, but it stands on its own. It has its own structure. It has its own formality. It has its own internal things that must be followed. And for those of us who are interested in making money out of it, definitely specialized trainings are important. Then we will also begin to talk about you printing cards. Maybe on your complimentary cards, you want to include that in there. Conflict management services. By the time you do negotiation and mediation, you can just put the alternative dispute resolution or negotiation and mediation. You see, we don't need to open an office or shop or whatever to formalize it. For those of us that have offices, we can use it. Now, one of the people I associate with in alternative dispute resolution, I was speaking with him last year. This man did education in the university, but is now one of the biggest mediators in Nigeria. And I was like, oh, talking about some money. And he said, oh, Prof, 20 million naira is nothing to people like us. Yeah? I said, really? And what does he do? He negotiates, he mediates. There was a negotiation he said he did between a bank customer and the bank. I think it was a Zenith Bank. I think it was a Zenith Bank. He made certain deductions in his whatever, all those issues. The customer was very angry. He said he was just telling my friend casually. He said he has visited the branch, he has written, yet they are not reversing this money, and so on and so forth. And he's thinking about taking them to court. He has already informed his lawyer to write them. My friend, I said, no, don't worry. Let me help you take this matter up. But if I take it up, this is my percentage. Just like what lawyers will charge, or a little lower than that. My friend wrote to the bank, said, I'm the negotiator for this person. I'm representing this person on this, and this issue. This provided all the details. My friend said he got the thing sorted out in a day, in one day. And guess the amount of money we are talking about here. We're talking about millions of naira. My friend said, is that transaction he made, I've forgotten now. I've forgotten really, but I'm not sure. I'm not talking of I made 100,000, but that one is not 100,000, nothing to me. I'm not talking of 500,000 or 1 million. In a transaction that took him a day, he just did it as one of those things. That is not his major transaction. Like I told you, the customer was just saying it casually to him. Because I can take it off, but I'm going to collect my this. And that was how he did it. I don't think if any one of us, having gone through negotiation, to do that, I don't think it's a sin.
Oh, I think we'll get it done. Somebody sharing lunch with us.
Okay. So I'm saying that there are opportunities all around us to deploy our skills, both in the vineyard of the Lord for free of charge or for pay, and also in the wider society, free of charge or for pay. So I want to thank all very much for our attention, and I would like to turn us over to Dr. Ajefe. I don't know whether anybody has questions on this. This is very important. If you have questions on this, please, you can signify. Even before we go to the question and answer.
I have a question.
Please go ahead, sir.
Please, sir, can the practitioner mediate in his own case, in his own conflict?
Yes.
And how?
There
you have your interest is also at stake.
Yes. You see, there's what we call insider partial mediation. Traditionally, the school of thought is that a mediator, you cannot mediate in your own case. For instance, let's say your church and another church are in conflict. You cannot mediate in such case. But things have gone beyond that. We now talk about, and this has even been over a decade ago now, that an insider that is respected, that is credible, can mediate as insider partial mediator. That's the case of this man in South Africa, this Bishop Tutu.
There's no Tutu.
Yes, he mediated in cases where he had interest, but because of the credibility he has, the other side did not have any issues about him favoring his group. During our, when we are offering our training on mediation, insider partial mediation is one of the things we cover. Thank you very much, sir. Pastor Favor Adiaga, I can see your hand up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for the enlightenment. Now, my question is this: in situations whereby we have maybe a form has been given to the people we are trying to offer the service to, and we've reached certain resolutions, and eventually maybe either of the parties do not carry out the dictates of what they signed for. What do we do? How do we legalize it and sanction the people?
Thank you very much, sir. Do you know that Nigerian legal system makes a provision for two individuals to drop a contract among themselves and take it to court to register? And once they register it becomes a binding agreement that is enforceable in court. So that is what we do, especially in mediation. Once we have reached a mutually acceptable agreement to the two parties, we register this agreement in court, and it becomes a legal thing. It becomes enforceable. So that is how we do it, so that the parties won't agree and then back out. Thank you very much. Did I answer that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Adishafe, Elder Adishafe. Please have the floor.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
The last person asked part of the questions that I wanted to ask, but what I actually wanted to add to it is that while building questions, or maybe let's say questionnaires, can we drop our skills? Are there standardized skills that we can use? For example, if I'm counseling a married couple at the verge of divorce, from my experience, I discovered that there are different issues with different people. So, and I usually use different ways, to approach different issues. So what I'm saying is it okay for me to draw up skills for myself that I can use to assess them? That's one. Then two, this conflict management and other, are we going to be recognized by the government such that if things are going on, it becomes binding, on whatever or whoever we are mediating for?
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. On the first question, yes, from experience, you may be able to draw up some sort of scale to help you differentiate or categorize or stratify, as it were, every case or all the cases of family disputes you are mediating in. That's a possibility. However, such scale will be specific to your own practice. it is specific to your practice, and as long as it helps you to do your work well, I mean, there's nothing wrong in that. Now, about recognition by government. If you read the list of I sent, the call, you see, our firm is registered with the government and recognized by government to provide services like this as far back as 2006, trainings and to issue certificates, certificates. And now, by our experience, we have networks of institutions that we can also affiliate you with to practice, like multi-door court houses, and whether government will, I mean, so that takes care of the aspect that this training is covered by law. The certificates are covered by law. The certificates that we issue on all our courses, they are covered by law. And last class, yesterday, or was it this morning, I explained that to differentiate our course and the intensity of our course from other ones, because anybody can just bring people together under a mango tree and issue them certificates. To differentiate our own, we are putting the transcripts, including course content and the duration, at the reverse side of the certificate, so that if somebody wants to check what you went through in the 2-day training, they will see whether it's up to the minimum standard. I'm part of organizations that regulate alternative dispute resolution education in Nigeria. At least I'm part of 3 of them, including a government agency inside presidency. So we have carefully designed our courses to beat even the minimum standard, to beat what we have outside there. And by the grace of God, in the quarters of alternative dispute resolution, peace and conflict studies in Nigeria and a little outside Nigeria, they know me. They know me as a person, and they know the kind of things I'm involved in, the quality of things I do, such that with all sense of humility, my name carries certain weight in relevant quarters in peace and conflict stuff within Nigeria and some a little bit outside Nigeria. So all those, with also the fact that we have taken careful consideration to ensure that we satisfy every government and other regulatory bodies requirements. So your certificate to be recognized, but now your services being recognized, that is more or less dependent on individuals, whether government will call you. You see, some people will have first class and they will be in the village. And some people will have third class or 2-2, and they'll be at the forefront of what their things are happening. Why? Because of the way they pushed themselves. Because of the way they push themselves, because of the way they value what they have. So that is what will determine whether if there's conflict and government can call you, or whether after you have resolved the conflict, government will recognize a resolution. You know, earlier on I said that agreements are registered in court. But at this stage, yes, such agreements will be recognized, but they will be more recognized, they will be more acceptable if you take a course on negotiation and mediation. You see, this one we are offering is foundational course. In many negotiation and mediation course, they will take what we have given you like 20% of it as part of that training, but we decided to separate it because some people may decide not to take negotiation and mediation course. You understand? So that is that. Did I answer that question now? Before we go to Mr. Oluwatobi?
Yes, you did very well, sir. You
Thank you very
answered
much.
very well. Thank you,
very
sir.
much. Yes, sir. Pastor Awojobi.
Okay, thank you, sir, and well done.
Thank
My
you.
question is, there is this particular man that has been in the news for some time, though of recent I didn't hear from him. Professor Gumi, some people call him Sheikh Gumi. Can we refer to that person as a conflict manager? We know the role he has been playing between the government, so-called role between the government and the Boko Haram and other things like that. Can we see him as a conflict manager? Is he just doing his work? Is he a professional in that regard? So that is my question.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. You see, I have very scanty knowledge about Gumi because I didn't really follow him very well. I've seen some of his stuff and I just got pissed off at some point. Initially, I felt he was doing good mediatory work between the government and the bandits. But later, when I began to see some of his vituperations, I realized that, I just got pissed off and I stopped reading anything about him. I don't want anybody to give me unnecessary mental health issue. So there are ethics to managing conflicts. There are ethics of alternative dispute resolution. I will not say that Gumi has satisfied some of the basic ethics of a good conflict manager. Sometimes he speaks as if he's a spokesperson for the bandits, as if he has too much sympathy for the bandits against the Nigerian state. So I will not call him a conflict manager. I will not call him a conflict manager, sincerely. Is that clear, ma'am?
Sorry, sir, it's very clear. So that means that we have ethics. There are some things binding whatsoever we do as a conflict manager. There are some things we're expected to do when we mediate, and there are some things that we are not expected to do. So we have ethics binding.
Definitely. Very strong ethics.
Right.
Very, very strong ethical things that we need to observe as we mediate, as we give alternative dispute resolution services to people. Some of them are so strong, very strong, like the issue of confidentiality. You cannot reveal the issues. You cannot. It's binding on you.
Such as we have in counseling.
Aha.
Yeah.
Certain things you can't reveal. That is between clients and service provider stuff. Okay, let's quickly turn over to Dr. Ajepe to okay, Dr. Ajepe.
Yes.
Over to you.
Yes, Prof. Okay, close the round off.
Yes.
So, okay. On behalf of Hellsman Academy, we would like to appreciate you. What's next? Yes.
Hello,
yes.
What is next on the program? You have to talk about the
questions and answers. I thought we just did that.
Maybe other questions from other. This question and answer was for this session, and also you need to give us information on post-course assignments, assessments.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, I have that. I have all that here. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. I don't know if you have general questions from the 2 days training and perhaps any feedbacks within the short period that we have left, so that latest by 5, we can round up completely. So questions, you can please raise your hand. Questions on anything? The 2 days training? Any other clarification you would want, we would like you to ask now. And then if there are feedbacks, if there's anything at this point that you want to let us know, please feel free within the next few minutes.
Okay, Pastor Awojobi's hand is up. And Ma, maybe we should also consider the groups that have not presented, either the first or second. If you have anything to present, also to quickly do that, because all these are being scored. We still have 5 groups to present group activity yesterday. 5 groups.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So please, the groups that have not presented should please get ready. That we'll do that quickly after this question and answer time.
Okay, can I go ahead now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, ma'am. I would like to know more about these courses that are available at EBSMAN. Family, for me as a person, I'm interested in family mediation, emotional intelligence, as regards to conflict management. And I think I signaled one other course too. So once we have an idea of what this entails, the course, and how one can get the materials. Thank you, sir.
Okay. We're going to post that after this training, and you get to know what it entails, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another hand is up. Okay.
Okay, sorry, I can't see it here.
Okay.
Please what's the name?
Pastor Adejumi Akitunde Ige.
Okay. Please go ahead and ask your question.
I think she's on another call.
Oh.
Okay. Oof. Okay, so please, which group is ready to present? Which group is ready to present? Hello.
So, group 1, 2, 5.
Okay.
7, 8, 9. No. 7.
About 4 present.
And 5 presented yesterday.
Then you presented for one group today.
There are 2 presentations.
Okay.
There's a presentation.
So the remaining groups, are they still with us? We have 21 people left on this platform. Maybe those who should present are not around or they have left.
Okay. Maybe we can go ahead with the wrap up.
Okay. Let me see if there are any hands. Okay, thank you very much. So we appreciate your time, and we are going to have post-course assignments, which we will send to either on the platform or to people's email. It's still going to be in groups form, the same groups that you have had, so that we'll know exactly how to evaluate. Okay, and we'll expect these group assignments to be submitted between tomorrow and the weekend. They are going to be simple assignments, but we'll want them in, because that is the only reason you can get your certificate. Now, we are going to, like we promised, we're going to give e-certificates to whoever is interested. But at the same time, we've looked at it that all that has gone into this training, and considering all that you are going to be able to do with it, it would be nice, one, to give you the manual. That is all the materials that's been used to teach, like Prof told you. In most big institutions, they do not even give their manual out. They don't give course materials for whatever reason. But because we are dealing with leaders in church, and there's a reason why the convener of this training has decided to give it to church leaders free. So We're going to be giving the manual for the course materials. There's also a book that's been written by Professor Akinwade on dispute resolution, conflict resolution, and all that. And he intends to put a copy along with the manual, and then the hard copy certificate that is going to have the modules that you have been exposed to here. When you look at the cost of all these, is almost 20,000. But if you pay 10,000, we'll give you all these materials just to ensure that we get all this together, not less than 100 pages. I'm sure you have seen all that's been displayed here. So we'll appreciate if everybody can pay their 10,000 between the period you are submitting your assignments, so that we can courier. That is the plan. We intend to use hubs, that is people that stay in a particular area or some churches. We can send all the materials, and then you can pick your copy from the closest place to you. On the other hand, if you want it directly to you, maybe to your house or to your office, you may wish to pay for courier. That way we'll send it directly to you. But we're looking at the possibility of, putting groups of people, because it is not only those who attended these that will want some of the materials. Some people registered. I'm not sure about how we want to handle that. But for those of you that have participated, you're going to get your certificate, hard copy, which you can display. You're going to get a copy of the book on Peace Studies by Professor Akinwade. You're going to get the course materials, which will be binded and sent to you. So please, we're going to let you know which account you need to pay to, so that we'll work together with all of them. Those people in maybe Foursquare, for instance, you may drop it in a particular branch of Foursquare. People from Baptist will be able to, drop in a particular branch for ease of, pickup. But if you want it directly and you're ready to pay for courier, we'll definitely send it to you. Now, for those who will be making this payment, we believe that some people may be able to afford more than 10K to pay for others who may not be able to afford as much. So if you're in a position to maybe pay double, pay for 2 people, 3 people, all well and good, we'll appreciate it to make the work easier, for those who will also come later for this kind of free course. And for that reason, if you're paying for yours, we'll allow you to make a nomination of 2 people, 2 leaders in church, church founders, whoever you think that fall into this category. We'll let you nominate 2 people for free. And if you are going to pay for more than 1 slot of material to help others, then you will be in a position to nominate between 3 and 5 people, but maximum of 5 people who can take advantage of this course or this training maybe next month or subsequently. So those are the incentives that the Academy has decided to bring out for people. And then there will be access as well. With that payment, you have access to a particular video on leadership that is on Teachable. Teachable, I'm sure Prof told you about it yesterday, is a platform where you pay money monthly, I think about 40,000, in order to put your videos out there for people to pay to learn from. So Professor Akinwade has a couple of videos on this, on leadership, on conflict resolution, and he says that as an incentive as well, he's going to give access to one of those leadership programs to those who want the hard copy, who want a copy of this book, and who want their manual. He's going to give you access to it. Also, everyone who has attended this, who missed yesterday's, will be able to access it on the website and learn from it. So those are the announcements I have. We want to wish you best of luck in all that you do. And we believe that you'll be able to apply this to the body of Christ and even outside the body of Christ, as you have been told. The various courses and specializations that we talked about, we're going to put them with their subsidized fees later, maybe before the end of this week or sometime, so that those who are interested can contact us. And then in addition to people outside who take this kind of courses, we can fix a date and you learn more. Once again, thank you very much for your attention. I don't know if Prof still has something to say to add to the information I've given.
Sorry, is the website address on the WhatsApp?
You're going to get it. You're going to get it. The WhatsApp group is going to be maintained to communicate to you. So you're going to get it maybe tomorrow or so with some other information that we'll have for you.
Please, ma'am. Please,
Yes.
ma'am, the announcement be posted on the WhatsApp platform.
Okay, all that I just said.
Please, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right.
I
We'll
would
do
love
that.
that because we missed some of it. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, okay. It's on stable network. Professor Akinade, please.
Please, ma, I have a
Yes.
question, ma.
Okay.
The assignment, is it going
Yes.
to be submitted as a group or
Yes,
as
as a
individual in the group?
As a group, please.
As a group, okay.
Yes, since you have started functioning, and that's why it's important for everybody to contribute and so
Thank
that
you
you
very
can
much.
submit quickly. All right, sir.
It's okay.
Okay, ma, if I may add something to
All right.
that group
Thank
assignment.
you very much.
Okay.
Quickly, please. And that will be that we are aware that some people might want to free ride. Free riding is when you don't contribute to a group work and want to share part of their benefits. It is the responsibility of the leaders to ensure that only people that participated are rewarded. You can list all the names of the people, but let's see those who participated. And don't forget, we also monitor on your group walls. For instance, there are people that only joined discussion yesterday, and they have been part of the group since the day we created or you created the group. So we use that to monitor those who participated in group activity and those who are not participating. All the screenshots that we have taken of this program, we see people who are part of it, are part of the training from morning till night, and that will reflect in our certificates. Certificates are not going to be given blank. Some people at the end of the day, they will have distinction because they have participated in group work pre-course, in group activity, and post-course activity. The groups who have not been able to do their presentation, they may arrange with us to do it on WhatsApp. We listen to them. Now, finally, for those people who missed yesterday's classes, we will continue our discussion on WhatsApp to fix a day, a time before the end of the week to quickly do the makeup class so that they may also take advantage of the class and then be able to get certificates when other people are getting it. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank my team members, Dr. Ajete, Dr. Kayode George, Pastor Dion, for their contributions. And like I said earlier, I want to thank every one of us for participating. I could see Engineer Tayo Olajide is driving and is participating. And somebody also did that yesterday. I've seen people who refuse to go on break. They will still on their chairs to participate. Our reward, as in the reward of EMSMAN, will be that when we see you deploying these skills in your church, in your spheres of influence, once again, thank you very much. You are not taking your participation lightly. In the Bible, a king organized free ceremony, free party, and people refused to show up. So the fact that we say it is free is not enough to attract you. So that we make it free and you make yourself available, we want to say a very big thanks to every one of you. I want to say that we look forward to having a mutually beneficial relationship in the future. Anybody who doesn't want his picture or details to be included on our website as part of our trainees, please let us know. Because like I said yesterday, it's our intention that we keep a directory of everybody who has participated in our course, so that when you tell anybody outside that you have earned this certificate, you can give them the directory to go and check to confirm that truly you went through this very intensive training. Once again, thank you for your participation. God bless you. Regards to everybody in your family and your church.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you,
Very
Prof.
happy
God
and
bless
lovely.
you. Thank
Very
you,
much,
Dr.
sir.
So much,
Shepe.
sir. God bless
God
you,
bless you,
sir.
sir.
God bless
Thank
you.
you
Somebody
so
should
much.
have a question.
I have a question, sir.
Okay, Pastor Ige, Akitide Ige.
Yes, sir. I'm very sorry, it's just coming late.
No, it's all
I
right.
have some couples that have been mediating on their dispute. And unfortunately, I realized that this lady has taken the issue to the government hand. Is it something that I should continue mediating with them? Because they've taken it far. I don't know. I don't really.
What do you mean as she has taken it to government hand? Is it court?
Yes, those local, I don't know what they call it. There is a name they call it.
Family
in
court.
Nigeria.
Family court.
Is it family court?
No, that
Magistrate.
Going to report their husband to government.
Customary
Social
court.
work.
Customary court, maybe, or
Should that be
social center.
Yes, I think so.
Maybe social work or civil rights.
You see,
Civil, yes, civil rights.
civil rights. Okay.
Civil rights, yes.
What you can do is to talk to the husband. If the husband can appeal to the court or civil rights,
They call it human rights. Human rights.
Those husbands, human rights, those husbands never appealed. In fact, by the time they took the husband, two of them in different times, took the husband for interview. The husband now tabled the lady's case in a negative way that he is even looking for divorce.
Wow. I wish.
And we are pleading that they all have children. Children are doing fine and the children are growing up.
You see, if you are a certified mediator, you can go to the civil rights and ask for the opportunity to mediate. And then
unfortunately, I'm not in town.
Oh,
I'm calling from Canada.
Oh, wow.
Can she not send an email or write?
Are they in Nigeria?
Okay,
they are in Nigeria. The two families are in Nigeria.
Can you refer them to a multi-door court house or to a mediator in Nigeria? If you talk to them about mediation, if they agree,
yes,
which town are they, man?
Sir?
Which town are they? Which city?
One is in Lagos, Lagos
good.
Island.
Good.
The couple are in Lagos Island. The other one are in Osun State.
Oh, okay.
And the two girls are from the same parents.
Wow. Are their parents alive?
No. We are more like custodian for them.
Oh,
my family.
You have influence over them. If you can talk to them to try mediation, we have mediators that can intervene, and we have connected mediation houses that can come in.
And the marital issue.
You understand, man?
Yes,
I am a trained family mediator. Dr. Ajekpe is a trained family mediator.
Yes, sir. We would like to have your numbers, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
So that
our numbers are online. Okay, I will. Okay, let me dictate my number to you, and then Dr. Ajekpe will also dictate our own.
Yes, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Mine is 0805 770 2787. 0805 770 2787.
Okay, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And mine. Are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Jepe.
All right.
Did you hear her, ma? Because I didn't hear anything.
Hear me, ma'am? Can you hear
I'm
me,
ready,
ma'am?
ma'am.
Zero,
Yes.
hear me. Okay, 0807 818 0255. Did you get that?
080
Yes.
781
Yes, ma'am.
80255.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right,
Thank
ma'am.
you very much, ma.
I appreciate, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You're welcome.
If you like two members, one male, one female member of the participant to give us general feedback, we forgot to select governor and deputy governor to give us general feedback, please. Who is volunteering? How they felt about the course and so on. Any volunteer?
Good afternoon, Prof. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, this is the Festus Oluwashijibomi. Can I go ahead with the
Please go ahead.
overview?
Please go ahead, sir.
Well, when I first heard about the course, I immediately decided within me to key into it. Because as a leader in the church, I have certain responsibility that has to do with conflicts among members and the rest. In my community, by the grace of God, I'm a community leader in my community as well. Even in my family, I discovered that this course will be very helpful. And of a truth, God has helped me so much. I actually left time for 2 days. And indeed, I am overwhelmed by the training, by the teachings, and by various examples that were given by Prof, the doctor, and some of our participants. It is indeed worthwhile in times such as this, where there are tensions of all kinds, in the family, in the society, in the community, among friends, among companies, among leaders, among churches. It is indeed a timely training. That is the way I see it. And I'm sure, if not all of us that have participated, majority of us will see it that way too. I want to say a big thank you to the organizers, the facilitators, Prof, and doctors. God bless you. God will still make use of you in other various endeavor of life.
Amen.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
God bless you too, sir. God bless you, sir. Any woman for gender balance? Okay.
Okay. I don't know.
Pastor Owojobi.
Yes, sir.
Any woman speaker?
I want to represent all amiable ladies and wonderful women that participated in this program to say a very big thank you. It's a time worth spending, understanding the difference between conflict and dispute, having an understanding of the different reactions to conflict, the ones that are good to go, the ones that are not very good to go. I love the animal representations of the tortoise, the fox, the shark, and all that. It's so beautiful to be here. We appreciate you, sirs and Mars, for taking out time to do this. We say thank you. More grace to you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma and Sir. So on this note, we want to say have a wonderful time and you're welcome to the fold of certified conflict managers. Thank you. Have a glorious day. Dr. Ajete.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye, everyone.
Sorry,
God
network
bless
is
you
bad.
all.
I can't hear anything again.
Shalom.
Okay. Shalom.
God bless you, sir.
Thank you so
God
much.
bless
Thank you,
you,
sir.
ma.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
ma.
Thank
We
you, ma.
appreciate you, sir. Thank
Yes.
you so much, sir. Prof.
Same here, ma. We
Thank
appreciate
you, Prof.
too.
Thank you,
Yes,
Ma.
everybody.
Thank
God
God
you,
bless
bless
you.
you.
sir.
Regards to the
we have
family.
more of you.
Yes, ma. Pastors.
Thank you, Dr. Kayode in absentia. Pastor Dear
Yes.
in absentia. We appreciate
Thank
you
you
all.
very much, ma.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. We'll deliver your message.
Thank you.